So here we are in the game. But before we get started, how's the move? How are you settling in?
Oh, good. Yeah, it's stressful moving houses, but now finally in, things are much better. I've got my gaming room set up, so that's the most important thing.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. Forget all the rest of it. Once the gaming room's set up, then everything else.
That was the priority. That was number one. Forget the living room. It's the gaming room first.
Absolutely. Right. So tell us about today's flight, then, Matt.
So what we're going to do, we're going to do some VFR stuff. So today's rule is we're going to take the Cessna 152 from Carlisle to Blackpool, and you're not allowed to open up the map once. Okay, so you've got to navigate based on your what you see outside, and we're going to plan the routing first of all. And the other rule is you're not allowed to change views either, so you're not allowed to use the outside view. You have to stay inside, and you have to pretend as though this is a real world flight.
Okay, so Carlisle is Echo Golf November Charlie.
Correct, yeah. So what you'll need to do to start with is you're going to open up Sky Vector, and we're going to plan the routing.
Okay, let me I'll tell you what, let me pull this onto the screen and make it full page, and then I'll go scene 2 and turn on the camera. There we go. Okay, yep.
Excellent. So the most important thing is obviously the planning stage with these sorts of flights. So what you need to do is you need to go up to flight plan at the top, where it's in the top left. If you click on that, it will open up your flight plan window.
Yep.
Okay, and then you're going to go Echo Golf November Charlie.
Yep.
And we're going to go to Echo Golf November Hotel.
Okay, Echo Golf November Hotel. Yep. Blackpool Airport.
Now to get it a bit more accurate, what we're going to do, we're going to put speed in. So you see in the top there, it says SPD, speed.
Yep.
I want you to put in 100 knots.
Oh, crikey. Properly flying, so to speak. Yep.
And then the altitude. So we have to decide, first of all, which routing we're going to take. So what I want you to do is, because we're going to be flying this visually, we need to basically pick some visual references along the way. So if you want to zoom in to where Carlisle Airport is.
Okay, yep.
And we're going to take off runway 24. So we're pretty much heading directly towards the city of Carlisle.
All right,
so
okay.
What you need to do is you're going to look for a visual reference point. So the best visual reference point would be to maintain runway heading until we get to that train track. So you see in the middle of Carlisle, you see there's a little train track.
I mean,
so what you can do...
There's like 3 train tracks.
Yeah, so basically I want you to drag that purple line.
Right.
Am I back?
Yeah. You didn't disappear for me.
Yeah, so I want you to drag that line and put a little pin in Carlisle just to maintain runway heading, and then put a little pin on that railway track.
Okay, the one that's on runway. So how do I put a pin? Just click on it?
So just click somewhere along the routing, and then click and drag until you get, so you can move it along basically. Right. So you left click, hold it, and then you can basically move that line around to wherever you want to.
Right. So So runway heading is. So which runway did you say we're going?
So that purple line. Yep. So find the cursor put the cursor over the top of it.
Yep.
And then click and hold the left mouse button.
Yep.
And then you can drag it wherever you like.
Right.
And then what I want you to do is I want you to put then the cursor over the railway track right in the middle of Carlisle, and that's going to be the first reference. Okay, and then let go. Yeah. And it will give you a few options. And basically the one that says GPS and then the coordinates, I want you to click the plan right next to that.
Okay, yep, done that, yep.
Okay, and then that'll add that to your nav log as the waypoint. Okay. Now, after that, we need another reference. So we're going to fly over the top of the Lake Districts, and then we're going to go to the airport Barrow Walney Island, which is just pretty much to the south. You might have to zoom out a bit.
Barrow Walney Island. Oof, I don't. Okay.
So it's just to the north west of Blackpool.
Oh, okay.
You see it just there?
Yeah, I've got it there. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, click and drag that line and bring it over to the Barrow Walney Island Airport.
Yep, done that.
And when
yeah.
you let go, it will ask you which one you want, and just click the airport. So the top one, I think it was.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. And click plan.
Yep.
And now what we've basically done is we've plotted our VFR route. Okay. Now,
cool.
to get this as accurate as possible, we need to pick our altitude. So what altitude would you recommend flying this at?
Well, we are flying over the Lake District, so...
so how high is the Lake District?
So the highest we go, looking at this, is 4,200. So if we said 5,000...
Yep, perfect.
Yep.
So we'll fly it at 5,000. So what you need to do in the altitude at the top of the planning is put 050 because it's flight level 050. That's it.
Yep.
And now that's all set up. So now what you can do is you can click at the bottom right, you can click the Nav Log. And then what that will do is that will bring up basically your navigation log that you're going to use today.
Ah, excellent. Right. Okay.
All right, so I'm going to just talk you through what this is. Now, I think in real life you would obviously print this so you can write stuff down on it.
Yeah.
But basically, it's got every waypoint along the way, including the top of climb and top of descent. So the first one is Carlisle to that fix that we created.
Yep.
And to get there, if we go across, it gives you your wind direction and wind speed. Obviously, today we're going to use calm winds because the weather's not good enough for VFR.
Yeah.
Tells you what your true airspeed is. We're obviously climbing, so that's why it's so slow. And then the most important thing is going to be the magnetic heading. Okay, now that would be adjusted obviously for the wind today.
Yep.
Now today there's no wind, so we're going to take the magnetic track, which would be just 2 blocks to the left of it. That's 241. So it would be 241 track towards that waypoint. Okay.
241. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And it's going to take us 6.3 minutes to get there. So it's if you go across to where it says ETE, that's basically your time to each waypoint. And then ETO is the accumulated time along the way. So the most important thing today is as soon as we take off, we need to press the stopwatch so we can see roughly how accurate our timings are. Okay. Obviously, this is taking into consideration the wind. In reality, today we're not going to have any wind.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's basically our flight plan now. So that's what we've logged. So we're going to keep that to one side. And now we're going to go into flight sim and we're going to prepare the flight. Okay, yep, cool. So we're going to pick, first of all, I guess you can invite me to the group. Yep. If anybody else wants an invite to the group to come and join us, invite to group, do let me know now, and you can fly along with us as we fly from wherever it is, Cumbria to Blackpool. You should have that invite now. There we go. I'm in. Yep, cool. So the only thing we're going to do is we're going to set just the departure airport. We're not going to worry about an arrival airport. Okay. That way we can't be tempted to use the map to find out where we're going. Now, we're not going to start on the runway today either. We're going to start on the ramp. Okay. Which ramp? So I'm going to start at gate 1 Charlie. You can start at gate 1 Delta. Gate 1 Delta ramp GA small. Yep. Correct. Yep. And you're going to be at 1 Delta. That's it. And I'll change the conditions. Clear sky. We'll set it clear skies. Yep. Clear skies, and I've set it for today's time as well. So, yep. Sure. Okay. And I think that's pretty much it now. We don't need to worry about fuel. We're going to have more than enough. And then I think we're good to click fly now. Listening and not crashing at the same time is hard. I know it is. I'll tell you what is hard. I find anyway. Sorry, I'm clicking fly now, by the way. The hardest thing I find is talking to air traffic control. I don't know why. It adds an extra complication that my little brain just cannot handle. So Right, and here we are.
Yep. I'm on the ramp. Okay.
Yep. Oh, you're in the wrong aircraft, are you?
I'm in a 152.
No. Oh no, you're in the 152. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It just for some reason it's got you as. Oh, now you go. There you go. It's spawned into.
Right. Okay.
There's another aircraft there. That's fine.
Yeah, there is. Yeah,
Okay.
there's a few here actually. There's a Spitfire for a starter. I'm on 1 Delta. You're on 1 Charlie. Where's 1 Charlie?
Just straight ahead to the right of you.
Okay. You're in the flight simulator plane. Yep. Okay. And then 1 Echo is the Spitfire who's going to shoot us down if we get this wrong. Shoot me down. You're not going to get this wrong, obviously. Right. So yeah.
So the most important thing now is obviously getting this thing started. Okay. So what we need to do is we either go through the checklist or we can do this from memory. Now, it does give us cold and dark. So I think things like fuel valve, for example, may well be in the off position. So which is something to bear in mind. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn, first of all, the batteries on. The alternator.
Where are they? Sorry.
So you might want to get rid of the control yoke.
Yeah. Okay.
There's 2 big red switches.
Yep. Okay. Battery is on. Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. And now
that's
alternator.
Turn on all the radios, everything. And the good thing about this is it's very, very easy to start up. Now, just below where the 2 chairs are.
My favorite Parent. Sorry.
If you look down between where the observer's seat and your seat is, there's a little lever. And if you hover over it, it's right on the floor. It says fuel valve.
Oh. Yep.
I think we have to turn that to we have to click that because it's in the off position.
Yeah, it is on now. Yeah. That's so right. If this were a car, look in your rear view mirror. I'm not quite following you there, Real Milfian.
Okay, now we can pretty much get ready to start the engines. So what we're going to do is we're going to prime the engine first. So just to the left of the battery, there's that primer.
Yep.
So give it 2 or 3 pumps of the primer, and it just basically puts some fuel into the engine manifold.
Okay, cool. Yep.
And now, obviously, we'll check to make sure everything's clear, and then we're going to turn the key to start the engine. So crank it all the way over to start. And I think, you know what, make sure the fuel mixture is all the way forward as well.
Yeah, mine's already fully rich, yeah. Oh, but they've stopped. Oh, this thing, do you mean this?
Yeah, no, even though my levers are forward as well, it's actually put the mixture, if you look at the mixture lever, it's actually all the way back. So you need to manually push it forward. You see the red lever?
Right, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so you need to, that's it. And now you can try cranking the engine again and it should start.
So so the whiskey dials that Young Ruffian's talking about is, we got the center compass on our windscreen.
Yeah.
But I think that, hang on, blooming heck, he started with us. Some blokes come, be careful, mate, I've got the propeller going. What are you doing?
He's going to try and push you back now.
You suicidal maniac.
I haven't even got a pushback guy, but I'm just going to swing it round anyway.
He's going to kill himself. What does he think he's doing? Oh, I see. Oh, he's safe. He's all right. Oof. Yeah, he's pushing me back. I haven't asked for this. He's just doing it.
You haven't asked for it. He's just doing it.
Yeah.
Ah, that's annoying.
You forgot to say clear prop. Well, this guy doesn't care whether I said it or not. He's blooming coming right on top of me here. Right, anyway,
Anyway, let's put some lights on now. So we'll put our navigation lights on since we're already started.
All right,
we're going to put pitot heat on.
Pitot heat.
We're going to put beacon on, and we're going to put taxi light on as well, ready for when we taxi.
Taxi, not landing yet. Do I need dome light on?
Only for night time. It's bright enough that you should be able to see everything. Okay, and now we're pretty much set up. So now we're going to get the ATIS for the station that we're at.
Okay.
So if you go to the top menu and click the ATC window, and we're going to tune the Carlisle ATIS. And again, you would normally write this down on your notes section of the Nav Log.
All right, okay.
But the most important thing is to find out what the QNH is and to find out what the runway use is.
Hang on, Carlisle grounders.
It's because you've got automatic, you've got the radios in charge of the first officer. So if you can turn that
turn
off.
that off, yeah.
That's why he pushed you back.
Yeah. Oh,
so there you go. So,
okay.
So you can tune now the
118.43.
Yep.
Has it done that for me? Doesn't look like it.
So if you click it, so just click, so acknowledge taxi clearance.
Yep.
So click on number 1 and then
tune to.
That's it. Tune ATIS on 118.43.
Yeah, I've done that.
So if
Yeah.
you click on that, it will tune it for you.
Yep.
Okay, so you basically, the runway in use is runway 24.
Yep.
And the QNH is 2992. So we would make sure that we have 2992 set, which it automatically is.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. And then we would just check our compass is obviously correct with our heading, which it is. So everything's pretty much good to go in this sim, so that's good.
All right, cool.
All right, now you've done that, now we can request taxi out. But before we do that, what we're going to do is we're just going to check our charts. So if you want to go to Navigraph and bring up your chart for Carlisle.
Okay, which is Echo Golf.
Charlie, sorry, November Charlie.
November Charlie. Yep, okay, yep, I've got it, Carlisle, yep. Is this for taxi?
Okay. Yeah, so it's just basically, so just so we know which way we're going. That's the most important thing.
Okay. I have it here, so it looks like hang on. So we would okay. I've got it in front of me now.
So
are we bearing
you got the tax chart?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're basically parked at 1 Charlie in Delta.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do, we're going to swing a right-hand turn. And we're going to take Alpha. We're going to take Bravo basically to the west, and then we're going to go down runway 19. Okay, to the south, and then we're going to take Charlie, cross, and then we're going to hold short runway 24. And then when we're ready, we're going to line up runway 24. So we have to do a back track. So we have to go up runway 24 and then do a 180-degree turn, ready for takeoff.
Right, okay. I'll follow you then.
So you can follow me. So don't worry too much about radios and stuff today. It's more about the navigation.
Yeah.
So as long as we're aware of where we're going, that's the most important thing.
Okay. Yep.
So I think we are good to go. We don't need flaps because it's tarmac and it's such a long runway. So let's release the parking brake and we start going.
Oh. Well, there's two of you there for some reason, but right, okay, here we go.
Okay, I'm in the Cessna.
Yep.
So you let me know when you're behind me.
I'm behind you, yep.
You can follow me.
VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact. You have Alpha.
Oh, this guy on the
so
radio.
this little one is Bravo now.
Information Alpha 1500 Zulu.
Oh, is it still broadcasting the ATIS, is it?
Oh, he's giving me like, oh, yeah, it is, yeah.
Okay, yeah, it does that. It's a bit of a bug, unfortunately. But what you can do is you can go back into the radios and you can just request departure, for example, and then it will stop the ATIS
Oh,
broadcast.
right, okay. I'll just follow you for. In fact, I'll just turn it down in. Oh, I was going to say I'll turn it down in the mixer, but it's not even in the mixer this bit, because even though I'm using the mixer, right, hang on.
So you can bring up your radio panel and just request something. It doesn't matter what. So you can request taxi if you haven't already.
Tune ground.
Tune ground.
Yep.
That's it. And then request.
It's not giving me any. I can tune Carlisle ATIS or ground services. Request go to clearance. Here we go. Oh, sorry, I'm following you. Good job we're not really doing this in real. Oh, operative, just what radio frequency to stand by. Oh, yeah, I could have done that, yeah. It's all right, I've got rid of the guy now. He was getting on my nerves.
Okay.
He wouldn't shut up. How do you not find that distracting?
Well, normally when you turn it off, it stops, but for some reason on this, it doesn't. I don't know why.
But as a real world pilot would, although you wouldn't be hearing that all the time though, would you?
No, normally we get digitated, so we just get like a text message service. Okay, so we're going to backtrack runway 24. We're going to line up.
Oh, thank you for the follow. I don't know who it was who did the follow, but it's going to Equalizer. Thank you for the follow. And welcome to our How to Fly a Plane stream, because you know this is basically flying 101. All right, okay, we're going to the top of runway 24. It's a good job I've got what's it called up on here. Navigraph. I wouldn't have a clue where we were.
So we're going to do a 180-degree turn shortly.
Yeah. So do we not need the frequency for Blackpool or for Barrow Airport?
No, because I'm going to talk about that shortly.
Okay.
But I'm going to talk about that before we take off, just so that we're on the same page. So we'll do a 180-degree and then we'll just stop on the runway. So we don't need to use full length. We can turn around here now and we can get ready to go.
It's a good job these things are wide. I was worried I might need to use the reverse gear there. Right, okay. Oh, I'm not even on the runway though.
It's all right, don't worry.
Yeah,
okay,
I'll get onto the runway.
So let's have a little look at Navigraph, but just before we go, one more time.
Okay, let me bring it up onto screen so that way everybody can see this. Yep, scene 2, here we go. Yep.
Perfect. So if you have a little look at Carlisle, you'll see like a Sky Vector. Sorry, not Navigraph, my mistake. Sky Vector, sorry.
Yep.
So if you zoom into Carlisle, what you're going to see is you're going to see like a dashed blue line around it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and then it says 20 with a little line under it, and then SFC.
Yeah.
All right, that's basically the airspace that's controlled around Carlisle. So that would be category C airspace, okay? And basically that means that the airspace which is controlled over Carlisle is within that radius, and it's from the ground to 2,000 feet, okay? So that means as soon as we climb above 2,000, we're effectively out of their airspace. Yeah. Now, once we get out of there, there is no other airspace for us to worry about, okay? There's no other dashed lines, nothing. There's no controlled airspace that's way above us. So effectively, once we get above 2,000 feet, we would be handed over to most likely Manchester Centre. And then when we talk to them in the UK, what we would do is we would ask them for a flight information service. So that means they're just going to give us information like other traffic, things like that. It's a very basic service, the most basic service you can have. Okay, but you don't have to contact them. It's not a requirement in Class G airspace. You don't even have to talk to anyone if you don't want to. Okay. Now, if you zoom into the next airport, that Barrow Walney Island.
Yep.
Now, you see there's another circle around that. Same thing, surface to 2,000 feet. Yeah. That means if we're going to do this flight of 5,000 feet, we actually don't need to contact them because we're not actually entering their airspace.
Oh, that's
so
okay.
If we're above 2,000 feet, we actually don't need to contact them. Now, in theory, you could contact them as a courtesy call, but there's no legal requirement to. Okay.
Yep.
Now, if you go over towards Blackpool.
Yep. And again,
exactly
2,000.
the same thing.
Yep.
Another airspace that goes from the surface to 2,000 feet. So what we will do is once we get closer to Blackpool, we will have to start our descent to, I'd imagine, 1,500 feet, which would be just above the circuit altitude, or 1,000 feet when we're entering the circuit. And about 5 miles or so, 5 minutes before we enter their airspace, around 10 miles, we would call them up because we're going to be entering their airspace. And that's when we're going to request our clearance for landing. Okay. Now, if you want to quickly bring up your chart for Blackpool so that there's no surprises when we get there.
Okay, which is Echo
Golf November Hotel.
Yep.
Now, we're obviously going to be doing visual approach today, but have a look at the taxi chart and the airport chart. That way you can see the direction of the runway.
Okay, yep.
Now, most likely, they're going to be using runway 28 with the winds the way they are.
Right.
And we're approaching from the sort of, north-ish side, northwest maybe.
Yeah.
So when we come in, we're going to be making a left-hand turn to enter the downwind leg for runway 28. But it depends on what the clearance is, if they give us left-hand downwind or right-hand downwind. Right-hand downwind would be a lot easier because we're just straight into the circuit.
Yeah.
If it's a left-hand downwind, we'll have to cross over the runway at 1,500 feet and then descend down to 1,000 feet.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll see when we get there. We'll see what Blackpool tell us. But that's basically our briefing done now. All right, so if you go back to your nav log, okay, and we're going to see how long the first fix is to get to the first waypoint. So it's going to be 5.2 miles to that fix. So it's obviously not very far. And we're going to be doing, it's going to be about 6 minutes because we're going to be doing about 50, 60 knots ground speed. So it's going to be about 6 minutes to that first waypoint. And then that's going to be on a track of 241. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're going to go to the railway. Once we see the railway, we're going to keep an eye out for it. That's when we're going to start our left turn onto a track of 194. And then we're going to go for another 28.3 miles. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
28 minutes. Sorry, my mistake, which is 100.
101. Hey there.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right,
sorry.
yeah.
So I'm just working out. So actually, it's the Topper Climb plus. So it's 1.4 plus 46.1. So 47.5 miles, around half an hour, a bit less, 27 minutes.
Okay.
It says. Okay. So the most important thing: do you have a stopwatch on you?
I have it on my little dash here. Yeah.
Excellent. So in that case, what we're going to do is we are going to set takeoff power. Okay. We're going
are we flying now then?
We will be in a second.
I was going to say, do we not need to tune anything in for Blackpool Airport? No.
So we can tune we're going to tune the radios later, but if you want to request takeoff clearance from Carlisle, you can, just to get used to it. So what you need to do, bring up your radios and speak to Carlisle Tower and request VFR departure.
Sorry, bear with me. So there's one in game if you open the nav log as well. Are you going to be able to glide to shore at 5k feet over the bay? Ooh.
The nav log in game, we haven't set up a routing today, so that's why I'm using Sky Vector. It's a little bit more realistic.
And Brown Coach Jedi says this is nothing like Carlisle Airport. Is it not? I don't know.
It's not. It should be.
Yeah. I don't know. I've not been, so it's hard for me to say. But
so when you're ready, then bring up your radio stack and your ATC panel, and then you're going to go to the. So that's at the top. So the top menu, bring it down, and it'll bring up the box, the ATC box. Oh. So that comm panel is useless. You have to do it the top way.
All right.
That's it. So ATC, bring up the menu, and then tune Carlisle Tower.
Okay,
Request takeoff clearance VFR from Carlisle Tower. Number 2. Nope. There you go. So you see the numbers. So click on it. So click Carlisle Tower, and then you request takeoff clearance.
Tower X low Alpha Kilo 47 ready at runway 24 straight out departure.
Just meant the stopwatch is in the nav log. Oh, right, okay.
The stopwatch, okay. Okay, so have you been cleared for takeoff as well?
Yeah, cleared for takeoff, runway 24, direct departed straight out approved, yep.
Perfect. So what you're going to do, as soon as you set full power, you're going to start your timer as well. Let me go first, just so I've got a little bit of a...
Okay, as soon as I start. Yep, okay.
Okay. Good to go. And once we get to about 60 knots in this thing, you can start pulling back. And we're going to climb at 65 knots is good. And we're going to go to 5,000 feet.
Climb to 5,000 feet. Okay, I'm just going to follow you.
Okay, and it's a heading of 241. So you're obviously going to initially fly runway heading, so 241, and we're going to climb at 60.
It's a bit hard actually, because the sun's in my eyes now.
Yeah, so normally you'd have a little visor that you could pull down or wear a cap. A lot of guys wear baseball caps for that reason. So once we pass 2,000 feet, we'll effectively be leaving their airspace as well, and we can expect a radio call for them to tell us to contact Manchester Centre, or they'll just say contact next frequency.
I'm trying to find where 241 is showing on. Where's my? Oh, here we go.
So if you look at just below your artificial horizon, that's your compass. Okay. Now the important thing is that you get the aircraft nicely in trim for 65 knots. That way you don't have to do much work.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're just going to pick, once we level off at 5,000, you're just going to pick visual reference points in the distance to fly towards. That way it's a fixed point in space. You don't have to constantly check your compass all the time. You can just basically pick a point and fly towards it. And that's what we're going to do when we fly over Lake District.
It's a bit hard trimming these things. Use the compass in the window. The one that I'm being blinded because of the sun, that window.
Yeah, that's the hard thing. Once we turn left shortly, it should be a bit easier.
I'm not really climbing here, to be honest.
It's a very slow aircraft, this, so don't worry too much. You will get there eventually. So we've had about 2 minutes or so. We should be getting closer now to Carlisle. And you'll be able to, if you change your view at some point to the left of the window, you'll be able to then see shortly Carlisle to the left of us. There's a big motorway. I'm not sure. Is that the M6?
M6, I would have thought, yeah.
Just to the left of us. That could also be a reference if you wanted to. You can pick whatever reference, but the important thing is that you can find it. I've picked a railway track because they're normally pretty easy to spot as well.
I've been trying to trim for 60 knots, but it's just all over the place. Also, I'm all over the place. I should be on 241. What is going on? Like, I seem to have lost all my airspeed, and I'm not climbing as well.
No, you're climbing. Your flaps are
they're up.
Flaps are up. Yeah.
Yep. Flaps.
I mean, it does climb very slow, and remember, as you go through 3,000 feet, you can pull the mixture back a bit as well. That'll give you a bit more performance. Okay, so now I'm looking out the window to
thank you for the renewed subscription, Branco Jedi, with your Twitch Prime as well. That's 2 today. Oh, hang on. I think air traffic controller wanted to talk to me or something.
Yeah, so you're going out the airspace now. Leaving your airspace, frequency change approved, and then you can just acknowledge it. But we're not going to bother with Manchester Centre today because it's the UK ATC is completely different. Okay, so I think I've got the railway track. So I'm just going to wait until we're over the top of it, and then we're going to turn on to our next track, which is going to be 194.
Okay, you've got it. How are you seeing that? Because I'm not. I'm still.
I'm looking out the left-hand side of the window.
Right, okay.
If I move to the left, I can see a lot clearer. So now I'm over the top of it. So now I'm going to start a left-hand turn.
Whoa, hang on. What's going on here?
You're probably stalling if you're drifting.
No,
So-
I'm at 60 knots. Right, I still don't see the railway, but
So we're going to go to 5,000 feet. And so what altitude you at now? 4,000.
yeah, just about, yeah.
Okay, you're doing fine. You're climbing. Same as me.
So
don't
where's
worry.
this railway? Because I'm not seeing it. I think I'm looking down over Carlisle, but I don't see the railway.
You see it just
I see the
right to the
motorway.
left of the screen. It's sort of like a brownie sort of reference. It can be difficult to spot. Again, you can pick anything you like. You can pick like a football stadium, for example. You can pick a golf course. You can literally pick anything that you know you'll be able to spot. You can pick that as your reference. Remember, you can pull your mixture back as well a bit now to give you a lot more extra performance.
What the heck is going on with the plane here? Right, I'm looking over to... there's the town. Where on earth is this?
Don't worry. You've got pick your reference. There you go. And now fly a heading 194 and you're fine.
Fly
And climb
heading
up to-
194, right, okay.
You should be able to see me. You can keep following me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm at 5,000 now, so I'm leveling off the aircraft, and I'm going to accelerate to exactly 100 knots.
194, what am I at here? The plane is all over the place. I don't know what is going on here. We haven't got
I
high
think
winds or
your
anything.
speed is way too slow. So just get the nose forward at 5,000, and once you recover the airspeed, you'll be fine.
You should be doing the Falklands bush flight. What on earth's that? That sounds like something I wouldn't be good at. Right, I see you over there anyway, so...
Okay, good. So now you're 5,000 and still climbing. So now make sure you've got the aircraft nicely trimmed out, 5,000 feet.
Yeah.
The aircraft's level. And then I want to set the power so you maintain exactly 100 knots. The more accurate your speed is, the more accurate your timings will be as well. And then on a heading 194, I want you to look out the window and I want you to pick a mountain or a top of a mountain that you're flying towards. And that's going to be your visual reference.
Right,
so
okay.
I'm picking a little peak in the mountain and I'm flying directly towards that. So that way I haven't got to keep looking inside at my compass. I can just focus on other things. And then if I start drifting, I just reset myself towards that peak.
Yep, okay, I'm doing that now. Yep, okay. So I can see which one I'm aiming for. Just steady 100 knots. Hopefully the plane's just going to do most of the work for me. Great bit of VFR adventure, but no cheating and using the map. All right, okay. I'm not quite 100 knots yet though, so let me just and I'm also climbing a bit still. Let me trim the plane. See, this is the thing, you trim it, just one light bit of trim, and it's trimmed it into the down position. I don't know what they've done here.
Yeah, it will settle down. I mean, once you trim, it can be quite sensitive, so just a little sort of flick of the trim and sort of fine tune it. But the important thing is if it's nice, trimmed out enough that you can sort of relax a little bit your hand. And I mean, I can tell from just looking at your stream, it's still trimmed quite far aft. So you've climbed sort of a few hundred feet.
Well, all I've done is like one just tiny press of the button as well. It's not like I've, you know, like trimmed it. Anyway, it's fine. I'll sort this out. I just get the feeling it would be easier to trim a plane IRL than this blooming thing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you can feel it a lot more as well because there shouldn't be any control pressure.
Yeah.
Whereas this doesn't have force feedback, so you know that doesn't help either. So we're on our track now, 194, for 50 miles, which is about 27, 28 minutes. And then once we get there, once we sort of get close to our time, we're going to be looking for our next reference, which is Echo Golf November Lima Airport, which is that. I can't remember the name of it. What was the name of it? Wolsey. Barrow Walney Island.
Yeah.
So now you would be a bit of a low workload because the aircraft's nicely trimmed out, pointing in the right direction.
Yeah.
And so if you're still climbing, again, it's just because you're not quite in trim. So it just requires a bit more nose down trim. Anytime though the speed changes, you will effectively disturb the trim of the aircraft. So as long as you're at 100 knots, that's the most important thing. As you descend, to stop the aircraft from accelerating too much, you'll just need to bring the power back a bit. And we know we're going to be safe at 5,000 here over the lakes.
Yeah.
So now you could fill out your navigation log normally, and you would be writing down your fuel, checking everything, make sure you've got plenty of fuel, writing down your times for each waypoint, any clearances that you may have got, squawk codes, things like that. So you'd be filling that out as you go along. And then the next thing really is just getting ready to get towards Blackpool. So really it's just a case of enjoying the view until we get there. Every 5 or 10 minutes, you just make sure all your temperatures and pressures are still in the green and everything's okay.
Yep.
But the important thing is we haven't opened up the map or anything once.
No.
And it's all based on what we see outside.
See, am I actually on 194, a heading of 194 though?
So look at your compass and you should be able to see. So
see, the compass isn't that, it's just a bit like I've got south, I suppose that's 180.
Yeah, south is 180. The tiny dash next to it is at 5. So that'd be 185.
Bear with me a second. This is bonkers. When I alter the screen, it just goes crazy. Right, hang on.
It's as though you've got the trim set at the same as the screen. I don't know.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Right, okay, let me have a look. Right, so south would be 180, so then 190, and so slightly off south. So yeah, I'm heading in the generally right direction then.
Yeah. So again, it's you know, you can look inside, of course, but the main thing is looking outside and picking a fix in the distance and saying, right, that's what I'm flying towards. And then I'm just keeping that in the center of my vision. And as long as I don't drift either side of it, I know I'm flying towards it. Obviously, that's in zero wind.
Yeah.
So that in that situation, you're using your visual references, hence VFR, to navigate. So you're not using any sort of radio aids, nothing. You're purely using what you see outside. Now, obviously, the reason we couldn't use the real world weather today was because the weather wasn't good enough.
Yep.
Unless we wanted to go the long way and go across the coast, which would have taken probably an hour and a half, maybe even longer.
Yeah.
Because with the cloud base, there was no way we would be able to cross the Lake District at 5,000 feet.
I seem to have lost you for the moment. I don't know if you're...
have you?
I don't see you anymore.
Maybe just my tag has disappeared.
Yeah.
That's fine. So you're on a heading 194. Pick a reference point that you're going to fly towards.
Yep.
So a dip in the mountain or something. And just make sure that you're flying towards it.
Yeah, I've got my point. So let me just pull up OBS and then I'll show people what my reference point is. But I need to... Right, there's the mouse. My reference point is this peak here. That's what I'm using as my reference point. That's what I'm aiming for.
Hope you remember to reset the stopwatch when you hit the railway and turn. Well, you
I
can,
didn't know.
but you don't also have to. You don't have to because you've got the total time as well. So,
Yeah.
you know, as long as we know, I knew that because of the wind, we were 2 minutes quicker than the plan. So I know that instead of 35 minutes to get to the Barrow, it's probably going to be more like 33 minutes.
Right, okay.
But again, it's a beautiful day here. So once we get close, we can just look outside and
Look
spot
out the window.
airport
Yep.
and adjust. You know, you don't have to be 100% accurate on this.
Yep.
You know, because you're visual, you can obviously, once you get a bit closer, you know, the winds might not be perfectly accurate. You might be drifted off course a little bit, and that's fine. As long as you're not near any danger areas, you're okay. So then you just adjust your heading and go a bit closer to whatever it is that you're flying towards. So this is how you would plan for a CPL or for a cross-country flight. Is you would do this. You would plan your tracks and adjust for your wind, and then obviously pick waypoints along the way visually that you would go to. The requirements, as we talked about earlier, for flying in VMC or VFR conditions is you need at least 5,000 meters of visibility.
Yeah.
And you need to be 1,000 foot vertically from any clouds and 1,500 meters distance from the cloud as well.
So we just switched from feet to meters as well.
Yeah, that's how confusing the whole thing is.
Yeah.
1,000 feet and 1,500 meters. Yeah. Good luck deciding that. But basically, it just all you've really, practically speaking, you've just got to make sure you're avoiding any cloud, and you've got to keep ground contact at all time. Yeah. That's the most important thing. And of course, if the weather requirements for your altitude don't match what you need, obviously you either do one or two things. You either don't fly that day, or you just do a rerouting to avoid any weather or to stay below the weather. So most of the time as well in the UK, if you're in any sort of major cities, you normally can't go above a few thousand feet anyway because you're going to controlled airspace. And obviously for us as a light aircraft like this, you can't enter controlled Class A airspace. No. It's for instrument flights only.
Right, well, the plane seems a bit better trimmed now. I don't know what was going on earlier, but I'm aiming for my waypoint. I'm just keeping an eye on things. Like you say, I'd be checking dials. I mean, it's flight sim, so we know they're going to be right. But look how amazing the Lake District looks from the air.
Right, isn't it?
It does look so realistic as well, it's got to be said. But yeah, the Lake District is a fantastic area. But this looks spectacular. As we're flying over the fens here, it looks just amazing. Oh, I think I've hit turbulence.
Yeah, that was another thing I was going to say is earlier this morning when I checked, there was also a SIGMET which would definitely put me off flying today, is that there was severe mountain waves forecast in this area.
Oh, right, okay.
So obviously coming off because the winds were so strong today, those winds coming off the hills in the Lake District would, at 5,000 feet, would easily be enough to flip this aircraft.
Really? Wow.
Upside easily. You would not want to go flying in that. Even a jet wouldn't want to fly in that, let alone this thing. So again, you see a SIGMET like that's put out there, that's a warning to say, hey, maybe you shouldn't go flying today.
Yeah, but take the car instead. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I would.
I wonder what lake we're flying over here. Is that Wasswater? No, I don't think it's Wasswater. Anyway, we're flying over one of the lakes. But I'm still maintaining my 100 knots, roughly 500 feet. You know, it's about 508 feet. But, you know, hey, who's counting? And roughly on a track of about 190.
Now, what you're going to be able to do as well is, I would tell you, the next step is, now I've passed pretty much most of the mountain range, is if you look at your sky vector and you look at close to Barrow, if you look where the pink line goes, there's a little bay just to the north of Barrow. and we're basically flying right in that bay, coming towards the airport. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, now I can see that bay very, very clearly. And the good thing is I'm flying directly towards it. But if I was slightly off, I can just adjust my track accordingly.
Yeah.
And obviously I can now refly towards that bay. So I've got that bay now in clear sight, and that's my new reference now, and I'm flying towards that, and I know that once I get to the edge of that bay, Barrow Airport is going to be right there, and that's my next point for turning.
Yep, I see that. Yep.
Now, I don't know if you look outside, I know you're a bit further behind me. Can you see that yet or not?
I can actually. Yeah. It's over in the distance, but I do see that. Yeah.
Good. So that's basically now what you're going to fly towards. So that's your new reference.
Yeah.
So I just want you to keep that in the window, and you're going to fly towards that. And now, once we get to that point, we're going to start our next turn, which after we get there, will be onto a track of 158.
That's
And
right. Yeah.
Once we pass the airport, and then we can start our descent. Once we get past there towards 1,500 feet, and then that's going to bring us into Blackpool.
Excellent. Who's up for the big one?
Oh, yes, please. I love that ride.
Do you? Oh, crikey, it scares the heck out of me. I think I've been on it twice.
So another way you could also do this is if you could also fly towards the north tip of sort of Blackpool Beach there, and then follow the coastline south. That's another way you could do it.
Yeah.
There's so many ways you can fly these things. You could follow the bay all the way round to Blackpool. There's so many ways. It's completely up to you how you navigate. Obviously, the most efficient would be straight lines, but if you want to do a pleasure flight and enjoy yourself and
do you not
things,
tune the because we have got nav on the radio thing there. Do you not tune that and then use these two dials to the right of the to the left of the console, like the black radio console?
The navigation, like the VOR navigation.
Yeah.
Nope, that's all for instrument flying. This is visual flying today.
All right, so we wouldn't even use them then. Right, okay.
Nope. It's all for instrument flying, so that's for tuning VORs and getting distances. Now, you could get a fix if you really... There's no saying that you can't. You are allowed to use that.
Yeah.
It's just you're not... The only rule is you're not allowed to do an instrument flight plan. That's the only... You can fly ILSs, you can do VORs, but today, obviously, I wanted to show you how we can get from A to B planning with no radio aids whatsoever, and it's just purely using what we see outside. Now, if there was suddenly we went into a cloud and we were disorientated and we didn't know where we were, then I would tune up a VOR or an NDB, whichever's closest, and fly towards that fix to sort of regain my situational awareness, if you like.
Yeah. So if you're doing the PPL or whatever, you wouldn't even be like using an iPad or something to track where you were, like the GPS tracking.
Oh, you can. I think for the PPL skills test, though, I think you have to do basic navigation like we're doing now. So you have to plot your waypoints visually, and then you fly each waypoint just as we're doing now, based on a time, a distance, and knowing what the winds aloft are. So you have to show your instructor how to fly in this way, basically.
So when you're doing your PPL exam and you've got your instructor, do you know already what the route is going to be like several days ahead, or are you going to get told on the day, I want you to fly here and here?
To be honest, I'm not sure. Like for my instrument rating, I was told the night before, I think it was, the day before, what my routing was going to be. I think it's probably the same with the PPL. The instructor will probably say to you, I want you to fly from whichever home airport you're at to this airport with a diversion to airport C. I don't know. But obviously that will all be done plotting visual points. But he or she would give you that information probably the day before.
So you could practice it in the flight sim?
You could, yeah, you could. They normally give you ample time to plan the flight. But then at the same time, they might also just say, you've got 2 hours to plan a flight from A to B. Here's your pen and paper. Off you go.
Right, okay. Because certainly if I had advanced knowledge, I would be practicing this quite.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the beauty now of flight simulators being so good. So we're going for the left tip of the bay there, should be the Barrow Airport. So I'm just adjusting my track ever so slightly towards the sort of left edge as we see it of the bay. And that should be Barrow Airport, should just be there. So once we pass over there, timing wise, we're ahead of schedule. But that's fine.
So even though, say, so bringing up our nav log here, so it's so our nav log said from the railway we're supposed to be taking a bearing of 291, but really it doesn't matter if we're 290, 295 or whatever, because what we're looking for more is visual clues rather than.
So that's the wind speed you're looking at. So the actual track is where the box that says track and then below it WCA. So the track.
Oh yeah, it was 194. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So the track is 194. So in reality, you would have the winds aloft, and you would work out based on your speed what angle into the wind you need so that you're correcting for it. Obviously, what SkyVector does is it knows those winds, it knows your speed, so it does the maths for us. Now, today we're using calm weather conditions, so there are no winds. But if we were to put the real life, so the next time we do this and the weather's good where you are, we could do the same flight and it would use the actual winds that are right there. And what you're going to see is the times and everything should be spot on. It should be perfectly accurate.
Right. What I'm saying is that although we've got these headings that we're following, we don't have to be exact. So you know, if we drift slight, as long as we're using the visual clues rather than what you've got. You know, like when we're flying using the G1000, you are on that route because you know. We've got the electronic gadgets to do all of that, but here we're using our eyesight, we're making corrections. Yeah.
Exactly. It's just a sort of guideline to assist you. And then once you get a bit closer, you just make fine adjustments. Like now, I haven't even looked at my compass for the last 5 minutes. I'm purely fixated on the bay because I know that.
That's exactly what I'm doing. Because the compass, because it's slightly down on the screen. And also, you know, like, it's not as accurate as a number, if you know what I'm used to seeing a number, and then I know how far right or left I should be turning, whereas this is more like vague directions for me. But I'm looking at this bay here, so yeah.
So we've got what looks like the town of Barrow, and then there's a little island, sort of long thin island past it right at the end. That's where the airport is. So we're going to fly towards that, and then once we get over the top of that, we're going to start our turn.
No, sorry, hang on. That's for Lumpolly. There you go. See, when I need to be listening to Matt and his instructions, instead I'm listening to Titanic and My Heart Will Go On, which I'm hoping it will, to be fair, because, you know, without it I'm kind of stuck. Right, anyway, sorry, Matt. But yeah, we're aiming for the island, because I've still got SkyVector open in front of me, so I could see that we're going for this strip of land.
What you can also do now, since you've got a few minutes, is you can also tune up Blackpool Tower or Blackpool. So if you go to the nearest airports list, and then click on Blackpool.
Oh, ATC. Sorry, electrical system. What? The ATC electrical systems.
Oh, so you pressed something I think earlier, and it turned it off.
What?
I'm just trying to remember how to turn it back on again. I think.
What did I press?
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Is it alternator?
No,
Yeah, it
I'm
is
not sure.
alternator.
Oh, is it? Okay, something.
How did I press the
there you go.
alternator? You're cheating.
I think something you have mapped is set to that.
Ah,
But anyway,
okay.
so go back into the radios now,
Yeah.
and then you can tune Blackpool, and then tune the ATIS, and then you can tell me what runway is in use.
Okay, I've tuned Blackpool Tower, or ATIS, did you say?
ATIS, and then you're going to tell me what runway is in use.
Blackpool Airport information Sierra 1600 Zulu. Wind 273 at 3. Visibility, niner. Sky condition.
Runway 28 is in use.
15.
Okay, so runway 28 is in use, so that's what we planned for, so that's fine. So we know soon we're going to be contacting Blackpool Tower, and they're going to give us either right hand or left hand downwind.
Blackpool Tower is closed. They're building houses on it. Oh, also, I think I'm over the what's it called now?
Not quite. So it's that long, thin island is where it is.
Yeah.
I've actually see it now. It's a triangular airport. So there's 3 runways in a triangle pattern. That's basically what you're going to be flying towards. So it's right in the middle of that long, thin island. So once you're over the top of it, that's when you start to turn.
Right, okay. I see the runway now. Yeah.
28 in use. Landing and departing runway 28. VFR aircraft say direction of flight.
Okay, so now you've got the ATIS and now you know the runway in use.
Yeah.
You can go back to Blackpool Tower and you're going to request full stop landing.
Oh, okay. Sorry, bear with me. Let me get the screen. Sorry, I need to work. What's my bearing from here now? Sorry.
So once we pass over it, so we're not quite over it yet, but once we pass over it, it's going to be 158.
Are you trying to crash into Blackpool Tower? I'm surprised some student pilot hasn't done that. Oh, yeah, houses are getting built on the airport near my home, and while there's no tower, ATC or anything in game.
So let me know when you've requested a full stop landing with Blackpool and tell me what their instructions were as well.
How do I do that? Sorry.
So ATC, tune Blackpool Tower, request full stop landing.
Request full. 27 miles north, 4,900 feet with Sierra to land. QNH 29.92, wind 273 at 3. Left downwind, runway 28.
Okay, left downwind, so that means we have to pass over the
Over the
airfield.
airport, yeah, and we're making left turns. Yep.
Yeah, so
See,
we're
I
going to do that
remember these
1,500 feet. Once
Yep.
we pass over to the live side, then we'll descend to 1,000 feet. Right, now I'm overhead the airport now, so I'm going to start my next turn onto a 158.
Because I think I'm over the airport, to be honest, but I thought you were further ahead than me.
That's fine, you can
on,
start turning and following me, that's fine.
So
We're about 4 minutes up on our time, which is good, mainly because I think we're flying a slightly faster true airspeed because of our altitude. I probably should have said 110 knots instead of 100 knots, but it's fine.
Right, so we're now 158. Is that right?
Correct, and you should be able to see Blackpool Pleasure Beach in front of you as well.
Right, let me turn towards 158. There's 150. I'll just home in on this. Full stop landing, is that not a crash? Well, the way I fly, it's hard to tell the difference, to be fair.
So once we're well clear of Barrow's airspace, because we can't descend too quickly because we'll enter their airspace.
Oh, yeah.
But once we know we're way past that coastline, we can then start our descent towards 1,500 feet. And then we're going to come in for a landing. And you should probably be able to see the Blackpool Beach in front of you once you're on that course of 158.
Yeah, I think I'm spotting like the failed coast now.
So again, you can see the terrain where there's a little break in the bay. Again, you bring up Sky Vector, you can see that. We're flying just to the right of that.
Yeah,
so
that's Fleetwood.
As long as,
yep.
Yeah, so as long as you know, I mean, you know the area, which is good.
Yeah.
So use that to your advantage. You know roughly where you should be aiming for. You should be aiming for the right tip, basically, of that coastline.
Yep.
That's basically the airport. and then we're going to fly over it, and we're going to fly for
Take great care here, says Lumpolly. You're heading over my house. I just had it rendered. Well, I think it's going to render it in game shortly as well. So.
Okay, so I think now's a good time to start descent, and we're going to start descent. So we're going to put our mixture to fully forward.
Yep.
And I'm going to bring the power back slightly, but we're going to maintain 100 knots in the descent. So you don't want idle power, just bring the power back a little bit, sort of 20,000 RPM is good. And then pitch down to maintain 100 knots. And we're going to descend to 1,500 feet.
Right, okay.
Not using real-time weather, Lumpolly. Unfortunately, the weather's not good enough for VFR today.
Yeah, we will. Yeah.
The day that it is, we will be using real-world weather for sure. Hence why I did most of my visual flying in Arizona, because the weather's good there 99% of the time.
I know, I'm looking at it. The thing is, we can lose the height here, and I don't need to bother too much about looking at my compass because, like you say,
yeah, you know where you're aiming for.
I know where I'm aiming for, and I presume if you're doing your PPL, that would. How long does the exam go on for?
It's probably about the same time as this.
Oh, right, okay.
You normally have to end up at the airport that you started at, obviously, because, you know, unless you do like a touch and go somewhere and then go back. But you would basically plan the routing. Once he can see that you can navigate, you'll do some general handling maneuvers, and then you'll probably just head back to departure airport for a few circuits. So as long as he can see that you can navigate, then I think that's a tick in the box, basically.
And the thing is, by the sound of it, if you're doing your PPL where you've had your lessons, you're going to know the area.
Oh,
and
you would have already done this. You would have done this 20 times already.
Yeah.
No problem.
Oh, yeah.
This should be changed to a once per stream thing.
Yeah. Crossing over this stretch of sea here does seem to be taking forever. I feel. Anyway.
Yeah, it's another long leg. It's
yeah.
What we got? 7. It's another 12 and a half minutes. So yeah, it's a long old.
Equalizer brought a tear to my eye. Understandable. Yeah. Right, okay, I'm now up about 1,500 feet. Okay, bring the plane back to level, back to full power. Oh no. Yes, you can pay bits for it. Ducky! Thank you, Ducky.
So the other thing is IRL is you would also, if you did descend a bit too fast, you would feel it in your ears as well.
Yeah.
So you would normally just bring the power back a bit. I brought it back to 20,000 RPM and just sort of 500 feet per minute rate of descent. It's very comfortable.
Right, I'm just about 1,500 feet, trimmed for. Okay, well, I suppose we still want to be going at like.
Okay, so we'll talk about the
knots.
circuit as well. I can start to see the airport ahead of me now. But so once we get into the circuit, We slow down to around 90 knots in the circuit.
Thanks, Ducky.
And then once we go downwind, we wait for the runway to be a beam us to our left. And then we wait till it's 45 degrees behind us. So we look out to the left, make sure it's 45 degrees behind us. And that's when we start taking our flaps and slowing down and turning base. Okay, I'm also at 1,500 feet now.
Diablo. Oh, okay. You took a bit longer to get down to 1,500 then.
Yeah, like I said, I just brought the power back a bit and I maintained 100 knots and just did a gentle sort of descent. So it was a bit more comfortable on the ears. I think I can see Blackpool Tower now in front of me.
I mean, this is the thing. They didn't used to have Blackpool Tower in the game. It's only like a recent-ish edition. But so if you were doing a VFR flight like this, you'd be like, well, where's my major northwest landmark that I'd be using for VFR?
But when I did a little bit of flying in Northampton, we have the Express Lifts Tower, which is a massive beacon, same sort of thing. It's a good fix to fly towards.
So you started off at Oxford school. So then how did you then move across to the Nevada one?
Arizona,
sorry.
So no, Oxford Flight School have their VFR flight school in Arizona.
Oh, so, right, okay.
Yeah, because the weather just isn't good enough in the UK to do VFR in 6 months. They have to go to a fair weather place. They picked Arizona because the weather's good, obviously, all year round.
Yeah, good choice.
So so that's the thing. If they want to get it done, the whole course within a year and a half, you can't afford any sort of flying delays.
So that's a year and a half through to your commercial pilot's license.
Yep.
See, that's not bad when you think, like, you know, if you're going to get a degree, that's like 3 years. So you're on, yeah.
All my mates were still at uni doing their second and third years, and I was already in Ryanair.
Yeah.
So it worked quite well, and I was one of the first guys to finish. So we did 6 months of ground school altogether, and then we went out to Arizona for 6 months, and then we came back and we did 4 months in the UK instrument flying, which is obviously then you don't have to worry too much about the weather.
Yeah.
We still had a lot of days where the weather was just too bad. It was below the instrument rating minima, so obviously we couldn't go. But generally speaking, we pretty much went, you know, most days there was no issues.
Right, I can start to see some of the piers anyway, so... And I'm at 1,500 feet. I'm just over 100 knots though. If I pull back on the power though... Oh, hang on. I need to trim forward. I am losing a bit of height there. I was going to say, weather, isn't it? I heard that lots of pilots end up in Florida. When I did my flight experience day, it was a year and a half before I did it. I booked it first, got delayed so many times. Well, this is the thing. I was talking to Matt and I was saying, I might just do, you know, one of those like try AK suffers from wind too. That's what I tell you, Lumpolly. Go and sit on the other table. I've got wind. No, I was thinking about, you know, booking one of these an hour flying lesson sort of things, you know, like the trial things. But if I did that now, it'd be a bit pointless because the weather we're having in the northwest is rubbish. But they have Piper Alphas, which is what you flew as well, you were saying.
Correct, yeah.
So, and what I was thinking of doing is, you know, going for a flying lesson and filming it because I've got a new camera. But I don't know, that it sounds like that's going to be a next year thing considering we're now in September.
Yeah, I mean, it is better to do in the summer. You know, I remember when I had my 1 hour pleasure flight before I started Oxford. My parents got it for me for my birthday and it got cancelled 3 times because of the weather.
Yep. Yep, we can see the tower now. There is Blackpool Tower. So we know what we're doing the right. So, if this was me, I would then start flying parallel to the coast, because at the moment I'm still flying towards the coast.
Yeah, I mean, I've passed over the coast now. I'm basically heading directly for the airfield. And obviously, once we get over the airfield, I'm going to cross over it and then descend to 1,000 feet and then into the circuit for runway 28. I've got the runway in sight, so I've got it. And once I cross over it, then I'm going to start turning left down.
See, I think I can see it. I'm still heading towards the tower, and I know that it is south of the tower.
Yeah, it's sort of hidden a bit. I can see the lights for the runways because there's 3 runways in that triangular pattern as well.
Yeah.
So I've got it here. So I'm just gonna.
So would we now be saying good afternoon, Blackpool Tower flight akcsl 1,500? No.
So we already called them earlier, if you remember. We called them asking for full stop landing. And they said basically enter left downwind. So when you get downwind, then you would report your downwind, and they will then tell you call final, or they'll clear you to land depending on traffic. We called them very early as well, but you can also call them as you actually approach it. It's up to you. So I've got the airport now, so I'm just going to cross over it and enter left downwind.
Oh, I see the runway now. Yeah, I'm staring out my window. It's there, so I'm going to fly past it. I'm still on the coast though, but I'm going to fly past it and then turn, and then keep turning left basically.
Yep. So you'll be turning left onto effectively a heading of about 09
South Pier
095 roughly. But again, it's just visual, so
yeah. You'll
be turning left onto an easterly heading just to parallel the runway. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
And then once you cross over the airfield, you can start your descent to 1,000 feet. In fact, actually, the elevation is what's the elevation here?
I would have thought sea level.
So it's sea level. Yeah. So it's sea level. So we can fly 1,000 feet. So I've crossed over it now. I'm going to give myself a little bit of room. I'm going to start descending, slowing down to 90 knots. And then I'm going to turn downwind shortly. I assume you still got me in sight, right?
I haven't, but I could see the runway. So.
Okay.
So I think I'm good for now. I'm just looking out of the window. And you're saying when I've got it at 45 degrees, that's when I turn left?
Once that'll be your turn onto base. So once you pass over the runway, just give yourself a bit of distance towards the runway before you turn downwind.
Yeah, that's okay.
And then once the runway is 45 degrees behind you to the left side, that's when you will start your turn to base. And ATC are calling me now for landing clearance.
Okay, I'm now going to turn downwind. Roughly east is what we're saying.
To land now. Okay, so the runway is 45 degrees behind me. I'm going to take my first stage of flaps and start slowing down towards 80 knots.
Oh, I see you now.
And I'm turning now onto my base leg, starting a shallow descent on the base leg, about 500 feet per minute, 80 knots onto a northerly heading for base.
Okay, so I'm going to, dropping down to 1,000 feet, sorry. And did you say first degree of flaps?
Yeah, you can take first degree of flaps and slow to around about 80 knots is fine.
Right, because what I'm doing now, I'm heading towards the estuary there. That's what I'm using as roughly my east. So I'm again using visual. It's a bit windy though. In fact, right.
The landing speed in this is 60 knots.
Okay, there's some houses which is just slightly left on my nose. So when I get to that, that's my visual cue. That's when I'm going to turn Base ready for final.
Yeah, and we will be taxiing in and shutting down as well. So
Okay.
just be prepared. We'll be vacating to the right.
Okay, just maintain 1,000 feet, 80 knots. There's Blackpool Tower. Okay, right, there's the runway. Okay, landing speed, I'm going full flaps. Landing speed 60 knots. Oh, trim forward. I'm getting some beeps, but that's fine.
Yeah, don't worry, it's just your middle marker, don't worry. So you'll be vacating then to the right, once possible, and that should be Delta, I think.
Okay, Pappas is saying I'm a bit high, but okay, now I'm on the glide slope. Oh, now it's saying I'm a bit low. When you don't, sorry, you said you're vacating right. Is that at
That's
the
right. You'll see it once it's a bit down the runway, but you'll see it to the runway, sort of. I'll wait for you if you like.
Okay, I'm over runway 28. I've cut the power. Bit of a flare, slightly off center. Stall warning there, but it's fine because I'm already on the ground. Just about right. Okay. So to the right, is it first right or?
Yeah, it's quite a way down, so don't worry about stopping too quickly.
But thank you, equalizer.
You'll see the yellow line that takes you to the right, and then we'll be taxiing to general parking. And I'll wait for you here, and then you can follow me.
See, so, I mean, the navigation, as long as you know what you're doing, what to look for, it doesn't seem difficult at all. But then I know the area, and I suppose if you were doing your PPL, you would know the area, so.
Correct.
I'm wondering how hard is this test after all?
Well.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Equalizer. I should point out that, I mean, what makes it as educational as it is the fact we've got Captain Boeing Matt. Well, what is it? What have you?
The Captain Matt now.
The Captain Matt.
Well.
Yeah, who is a real world 777 captain. So he doesn't know about flying, isn't worth knowing. So he's our guide here. Also, I'm facing you. Have you done a U-turn?
No, that's the back of me.
Oh, it's the back of you. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm right behind you.
We're going to taxi to general aviation parking, so you're going to follow me, and we'll taxi to the main part, and we'll shut it down, and then we'll, I guess that's perfect timing to end stream.
It is. Well, that was an hour and a half of actual real world flying. Well, not real world, but you know, it felt like real world. Sorry.
And you can see those tracks were spot on because we hit those waypoints absolutely perfectly.
Yeah. So for where we didn't have like a visual reference, like because we knew what the airport at Barrow would look like, but just by following a rough compass heading and then using visual, it actually turned out to be not too difficult at all.
Exactly. I mean, it only really gets difficult when there's sort of like danger areas or restricted areas that you can't fly in. Let's say it's reserved for like the military and stuff. Well, then you might have to navigate around stuff. But generally speaking, it's not too tricky.
Well, maybe we do that on Monday's stream then, because there is a flight from Ann Arbor to this. I was watching a YouTube video, and so she flew from Ann Arbor to some island, and she had to just skirt around some restricted airspace. So maybe we have a look at doing something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be in Malta, but I can jump on Discord and we can. You can do it, and I can talk you through everything.
And this is why I do not watch any of these streamers sporting tube liners. What's a tube liner? But thank you, Equalizer. What was I going to say? Malta is very good for diving. Can you scuba dive?
I've never done it. I've only.
You see, I think that's, well, the only problem I suppose would be that if you did get the bends, but if you were on a layover for a few days, like somewhere like Malta, I think scuba diving would be a good way to pass the time.
Yeah, no, it'd be good actually. And then straight after that, I'm coming back to the UK finally. Woohoo!
Yes. Well, we are open.
I've heard.
Yeah. Where are you flying? London?
I'm not sure yet. I think we'll go to Dublin and then jump across.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, right. Okay. This is a private thing, not with your airline.
No, this is holiday.
Ah.
Finally getting to see people. Right, we'll swing a right here and we'll just... Oh, actually, no, we'll park at the GA where the light aircraft are over there. We might as well.
Yeah, well, comes. See, I was that busy looking at the time. I was off the yellow line. I'm sure I'd be getting a telling off from somebody in the tower.
So, the next thing we can do is we can do it in reverse.
Oh, fly from here to Barrow.
Carlisle, yeah.
Carlisle, yeah. That would be harder, actually, because I do know, because there are lots of easy references for Blackpool Airport, like Blackpool Tower. It might be a bit harder flying to Cumbria, yeah.
Or we might have to
Carlisle
wait for a day
Airport.
when it's IRL VFR, and then we can use the real winds and everything, and it should be accurate, the timings.
Do they have the bay going the other way? Where is the Vulcan? I thought they got rid of the Vulcan. I don't know. I can't remember the last time I was down near Blackpool Airport, but I don't know if they have the Vulcan or not anymore. I thought they got rid of it. I thought they'd sold it to some guy, and when they tried to take it to his house, it was all rusted and just fell to pieces.
I'm going to swing a right here, and we'll just park up somewhere around here. Doesn't
Okay,
matter too
I'm
much
hoping
where we go.
that crazy guy who came to us before doesn't, try and throw himself on my propeller. Oh, okay, there's a couple of guys there. Can we run them over?
This band's in my way, but anyway. Right, so we'll bring it to a stop, and we'll set the park brake.
Okay, yep, brake on. Yep.
Okay, and then first thing we do, mixture goes to idle.
Yep.
Okay, and then once that cuts out, make sure the prop's stopped, and then you can turn the keys to off.
Oh, I'm gone. I've
And
turned
then
it
you
the wrong
can
way.
turn all your lights off then as well.
Oh,
And your
because we
PTV,
never
make
put
sure
the
those-
landing lights on or anything, did we?
We didn't. No, I forgot about that.
Okay. Taxi
Never
light
mind.
off. In fact, we still had the taxi light on
Yeah,
all
I
that
know.
way.
That's fine.
I think we failed our PPL. Anyway, right,
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And then that's it pretty much. And then you basically just the alternator
And then the
finally the battery. And then once you put the battery, it will tell you about your flight, how long it was. And
that was really good. I enjoyed that. It was
it was good.
almost educational for something I was doing. Perfectly good British.
PPI than PPL.
Yeah, hang on. There you go. That's for you, then, Polly, for that one. So thank you to Matt for helping us with that. That was so good because I feel like we've all learned something there.